Yeah, you definitely want to play FBC Firebreak. Remedy Entertainment's upcoming new title is a 3-player co-op first-person shooter, being a spin-off of Remedy's 2019 release, Control. It takes you back into Control's setting of the oldest house, where you and 2 friends fight off against waves of hiss using a wide variety of weapons, equipment, and absolutely insane modifiers known as altered items. Not only does Firebreak aim to give you an action-packed, zany blast of a time, it aims to continue Remedy's connected story and expand on its already rich universe. And by no means do you need to have played Control to enjoy Firebreak. Whether you've played every Remedy game or know nothing about their games, FBC Firebreak still comes with plenty that makes it exciting. FBC Firebreak is a fresh coat of paint in the co-op PvE genre, offering gameplay we've seen before, but with Remedy's signature rich, bizarre, and charming world building. What's most exciting about Firebreak, though, is how Remedy is doing everything it can to creatively integrate the lore of Control into its gameplay. So you'll be learning the game's world building and lore in real time. What is the lore, you ask? Here's a quick gist of it. Control takes place in the aforementioned oldest house, the headquarters of the Federal Bureau of Control, where a paranatural force known as the Hiss invaded and took control of the oldest house. Director Jesse Faden successfully quarantined the Hiss and put the oldest house in lockdown, though the Hiss are still present in HQ. Fast forward 6 years later, that's where you, Team Firebreak, come in to neutralize the threat. Right off the bat, you'll notice everything about this game looks weird as hell. Like I said, it's a staple of Remedy's games. All of the weapons you use are older, your equipment looks like it was scraped together from a junkyard, the enemies are made up of the goofiest yet simultaneously dangerous, well, anything you can think of, and these keep making the gameplay and lore constantly complement each other. Why do you use older weapons and equipment? Because the oldest house reacts god-awfully to modern technology, like blowing up smartphones in people's pockets god-awfully. This also makes the gameplay stand out. Sure, we've seen this type of gameplay in games like Deep Rock Galactic, but because the weapons and equipment you use look and play so differently from anything else in this genre, complemented by the oldest house's award-winning brutalist art style and architecture, they add such an incredibly unique flair to its presentation and atmosphere, making it stand out in the genre. It's incredible seeing aspects of Control's world return and how it significantly impacts gameplay, such as with the enemies. It's always great seeing a familiar enemy return, but with us players controlling unfamiliar characters with unfamiliar rules. Heck, ignoring what came before, the sheer variety of enemies alone makes this look so fun. You have your grunt hiss guards, heavy armored hiss troopers, airborne hiss elevated, just to name a few. Combined with the usual teamwork tasks of repairing equipment stations and getting electrical panels on, you and your friends are in for a wild ride. Playing as a godlike para-utilitarian was a blast, but going in guns blazing against the Hiss as normal soldiers using the most insane loadouts is such an exciting prospect. Then there's of course the oldest house itself, which you get to explore through the various jobs, with each location having a distinct aesthetic and level design, from a claustrophobic executive sector to an open quarry. All that said though, the most exciting returning aspect in a new gameplay setting are Control's iconic altered items. It's established early on that each altered item is extremely unpredictable in its behavior, and this again translates beautifully in the game's lore and gameplay. We finally get to see altered items that were only teased in Control, but now in full force in its altered nature, expanding on what was established. And it's not like you need to have played Control to understand its effects, because you'll quickly learn how to deal with them in the gameplay. Speaking of gameplay, I cannot wait to see how much this impacts the gameplay. Altered items both support you and your team, like improving weapons and equipment, and fight against you in the most insane ways imaginable. You can experiment with which effects best fit your playstyle, and combined with all the weapons and kits you can bring into battle, they offer an incredible array of synergies to learn. The amount of variety this adds in each job is impeccable. Like, there's a gnome that drops an airstrike, for God's sake. This is so funny and absurd. Whoever at Remedy thought of this, first off, what were you on? Also, thank you. Then there's returning altered items like the traffic light, and when I saw that you have to stop for the red light, I knew this game was respecting the lore and was gonna be wacky as hell. And the fact you need to use a black rock neutralizer to combat altered items, yet another tool that was only teased in Control, that's just amazing. Again, it's so out there and unique that it adds so much charm. Furthermore, it's also incredible to see how narrative elements that are touched on in Control get translated into gameplay mechanics. For example, back in Control, Bureau staff wear Hedron resonance amplifiers which protect them from his corruption, and in FBC Firebreak, you and your team wear resonance shields. This of course protects you from his corruption, but your resonance shields also become stronger when your team remains in close vicinity, encouraging you all to stay close and always work together. Again, it respects the lore and uses the lore as an excuse to add a unique gameplay mechanic. It's such incredible world building and makes this both a blast of a gameplay experience in its own right and directly expands on the Remedy connected universe, which makes this game so much more interesting. Like, damn, the storytelling is phenomenal. It's so incredibly quirky, it's so rich in its world building, it's so Remedy. Oh yeah, Remedy. So it's pretty clear how FBC Firebreak intertwines their gameplay with their lore to make them both more engaging. But this type of game is rather unique for Remedy Entertainment. On the surface, you may think Remedy just makes strange single-player games and has stuck to that formula for years. While you'd be kind of right, Remedy also does something crucial which has fueled their design philosophy: experiment. Remedy always seeks a challenge to push what they've already done in every aspect. Speaking of other ideas, Remedy doesn't have much in their catalog, do they? Max Payne 1, Max Payne 2, Alan Wake's American Nightmare, Quantum Break, which not enough people played, Control, Alan Wake 2. Literally, all of these games are bangers. Heck, even their very first game, Death Rally, while not that memorable, is still a good game in its own right. I'm not exaggerating when I say this. Remedy doesn't have a single dud. They do not miss. Crossfire was mostly Smilegate Entertainment, that doesn't count. Each of these games, with the exception of Death Rally, are strictly single-player games, yes, but experiment so much with its gameplay mechanics and worlds that they all have, again, unique identities, different vibes to them when you just think about them. They know how to take risks and experiment, so I'm not at all worried about these risks and experiments paying off. Firebreak is applying the same principles of unique gameplay and rich world building, while also expanding on the incredible world building of Control to bring this experience into the multiplayer scene. And I couldn't be more excited to experience a Remedy world with friends. Remedy has a perfect streak, and FBC Firebreak is looking to be the next entry in Remedy's stellar catalog. That's all for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Bilal with Game Rant, and we'll see you in the next one.